I'm going to start it with this pretty good clip from Jasmine Lane. Kind of, she does a good job. She's got a couple Carney clips in here, and she's talking about after Carney's Trump whisper bombshell, and Carney's sort of pushing to get more in with the European Union, and I've got some other like stats on Europe and some problems with that whole thing after this. So
the second thing I'd say is that the way we're looking at this, and you'll hear more about this in the coming months, that the investments we're making in defense and security, broader security, given the new threats that Canada faces, I think those, we're not at a trade-off. We're not at sacrifices in order to do those. These will be net additive. In other words, more of this will happen in Canada. More of it will help build our economy at the same time as it improves our defense, and we'll get the benefits. The question is, as we move towards later in this decade, and depending on how the threat environment evolves globally, if we are moving to the higher and higher levels of defense spending because that's necessary, then we will have to make considerations about what less the federal government can do in certain cases and how we're going to pay for it. Those trade-offs, I'm going to give you false precision around this.
He's trying to say it. He can't say it. He's going to give us false precision. Have you ever heard of that? False precision around this. You know what he's going to say? You know what he wants to say?
Mean?
But those trade-offs happen towards the end of the decade into the next decade, and we will be much, much better informed. And if I can go back to Steve Chase's question, the social license element of that, there's going to be a very clear and open conversation about that, based on facts and based on what Canadians want.
Okay, but for real though, what? So in 10 years, and not so much right now, but definitely within the next 10 years, man, what a future teller predictor this guy is. Holy crap, his entire book Values is about that, and every single prediction he's ever made has not come true. So I don't know how much I trust this, but either way, in 10 years, Canadians need to make sacrifices to meet military spending thresholds and confront new threats, which are what exactly? And sacrifices, which are no clue. So I'm just going to guess that what this means is you're in about 10 years, probably most likely, this new crisis is going to be fabricated and you're going to be taxed higher. There's probably going to be less public funding because by that point in time, Canada will be a fully formed welfare state with absolutely no income. There's going to be more surveillance for the threats and your safety, and another blank check, obviously, to the global elite. That's kind of what I take from all of this. Also, was anybody else even just ever so slightly confused by Mark Carney and his rhetoric? And wow, I'm about to go off here. But before I do, he ran this entire election campaign on how there isn't a problem at the border. There isn't a problem with Dr. Ruggs, and that the only problem we have, the only threat to our sovereignty is Donald Trump's tariffs. But then now he's saying, JK, there's actually a lot of problems. Canada's on fire. And to fix it, we need to throw money into the flames with all of these global organizations of which they do not keep publicly available data to track where that money's actually going.
A world that's more dangerous and divided. A time where the rules-based international, the global order, rules-based global order is under threat, in a time when technological change is accelerating.
Interesting. Hey, he's saying my words there. He's admitting that the rules-based order is going out, and he's speaking at the EU. I wonder who he turned to look at there when he said that.
And we really have two choices. This is a jurisdiction as a country in this circumstance. We can nostalgically look back and long for the old order to somehow return, or we can build a new one with purpose and partnership.
There you have it, folks. Mark Carney confirms that the New World Order is here thanks to liberals voting him in. If that's actually true, maybe he would have won anyway. And that, you know what? Don't be nostalgic about your past anymore, because it's never, ever coming back, because we are here. We are here. Wow, that makes me feel sick.
All right, so that's enough of that. But Yeah, interesting that he's talking about having to, what did he say? Suffer, or we're going to have to suck it up basically and make some sacrifices for our military spending. Well, how about you spend like 20 billion less on consultants and that could take care of our
Don't
military,
send money to the Ukraine. Maybe
or don't send money all over the place. Yeah, maybe stop your grifting and stop taxing us more.
our military instead of the Ukrainian one. I mean, there's a few points right there, right?
Yeah. And then, so just to say what, because he is partnering with Euro, there's some sort of like hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars partnering with this. And then I just thought, well, what's really going on in Europe? I mean, as if we want to become part of that collapsing rules-based order, which was really just if you don't follow our rules, you're not going to be in the club. In a nationwide raid, 170 German citizens had their houses searched and their devices confiscated this morning. So, I mean, I predict this. I mean, this has got to be coming to Canada if we're going to get so tight with Europe. Why? Because they posted social media posts containing hate speech, or because they insulted a politician. Germany is a full-blown police state. That's from the shield maiden of the far right, Eva Vlardingenbroek. Yeah, I don't want to get into all the comments here. Germany is a collapsing state, collapsing industry, collapsing political class, and collapsing demographically. It would be best for Europe if the country were again broken up into small states so it could do the least harm to everyone else. And then so is the UK. I mean, it's just happening all over, right? And then there's this one here. Share this tab instead. This is a thread on the EU just widening the war on free speech. So yeah, this is not who we want to get more entangled with. The globalist regime in Brussels, the unelected elites, is rolling out heavy artillery to crush dissent. This isn't about disinformation. It's about silencing anyone who disagrees. Here's how they're doing it and how to fight back. To the slap trap, which is greenlit. They greenlit an EU directive to fight slap lawsuits, strategic lawsuits against public participation. Germany is weaponizing it, using this law as cover to expand state power over who can speak. In short, mass censorship. This is how tyranny dresses up in the language of freedom. The SLAP directive, sold as protection for journalists, will allow judges preemptively to shut down dissenting voices. I'm just going to zoom in a bit here so I can read it directly on that screen. And it's happening fast. The Merz government wants this passed into law this year. That's Germany again. So follow the money, follow the control. The EU's long game is centralization, digital currency, top-down capital control, borderless migration, erasure of national identities. Opposition is growing, so they're tightening the noose around speech before it spreads. I would agree with that. But it's not working. The people are waking up, like leaders like Orban, Meloni, and Wilders are rising, and Brussels is deploying every tool they have. Slap laws, NGO cover, censorship fines, EU-funded media mouthpieces, just like Biden's Democrats. Enter Elon Musk and X. Free speech on X combined with tech like VPNs has cracked the regime's control grid. So the EU wants mandatory ID verification, reversed burden of proof, AI surveillance tools, and its digital authoritarianism. Now, I'm not necessarily buying that X is the solution to all this. I mean, that could be just another big trap. Why would supposedly free countries want to erect their own version of China's Great Firewall? And is that really anything resembling democracy? Of course not. It's soft totalitarianism socialists on both sides of the Atlantic now prefer and push. X is now the #1 news app in the world. Governments are burning billions, propping up dying media, but it's too late. Once people find truth outside that, they can't go back. The good news, the opposition is real, it's growing, and America under Trump has told Europe no trade, no free trade without free speech. Brussels is panicking because they're losing. This isn't just a battle for facts, it's a battle for freedom. So that's what kind of concerns me about Canada just hitching wagons with Europe. I mean, it really is just then we're just going to be enemies to the States on more levels than we are already. So the final thought, the EU thought they could censor their way into a monopoly of truth on truth, but in an age of open platforms, they're not open. Narrative control is dead. That's why they're so desperate to censor social media. But it's backfiring on them, and it's a new day. Well, I mean, that was a good thread, but I don't know. It might be a little rose colored. I don't think the platforms are as open as he thinks.
No, and they don't seem to be getting opener. Is that a word? Opener.
Sure.
They don't seem to be getting more open.